Alright, so we're going to go a little darker here even still. Grab the violet, and I'm just going to put a whole squirt in there. Probably 10-15 drops. Set up really good in the cup. You can see it's kind of this chocolatey brown now after all that violet that I just added. And this will be obviously our darkest parts of the rust. CBG, are you still paying along? Are you good to go? You caught up? Okay, no problem. So I guess there's our tear that Nutsy was asking about. And that does look, at least to me, that does look like it went to black, but obviously there's no black in here. It's a very, very dark chocolate brown. And that's what I was saying before about, learning how colors not only complement each other, but how they contrast with one another. Against that silver, that looks black in there, but it's obviously it's not. There's no black in my airbrush. We did use black at the beginning, but it was very weak, very reduced. Really not flowing well, so I'm going to add a couple drops of reducer. Also take notice, as I'm painting, I'm reseating these layers. And what I mean is I'm not going back out here into an area that I haven't sprayed and trying to make a new layer. I guess I could, especially with this darkest color. I could come back and just start spraying lightly out here and make a new area. But notice one thing. With all that violet that I have in here now, over that aluminum base, it looks violet. It doesn't look rusted. It doesn't look like that chocolate brown that we have. So that's why it's important to feed your layers down. Stay inside what you've already painted. especially when you're layering oils with rust. Fire is the same. It's the same principle. Can't go over some of these lighter areas, but if I try and go back onto that silver, we do get start get we do start getting more of a violet-y look. Same thing there on the stencil. If you notice on the stencil, that's more violet than a rusted or brown. Again, these stencils I'm using, available at Air 6 Pencils. You guys know all about them. Go check them out. As I said, I guess there's really no right or wrong way to paint this technique. You know, just do whatever you think looks cool. Yes, you are painting something from nature. Yes, is rust natural? I guess it is. But, you know, it's your creation. Come with it. And I do believe can call this one done. What do you guys think? Look cool? Was it helpful? Did you learn anything? Should Primo allow me back in his class again? Thanks, Wiki. Nope, not a lot back in class. You know what? Rivets are looking a little too stark. So I actually just dumped out most of the paint. It's all recorded, Wiki. So I just dumped out most of the paint, but I noticed these rivets, they're looking a little too stark. I guess it really wouldn't be that way if this whole panel was rusted up, right? So I'm going to go back in. I'm not going to clean up the cup. I'm going to leave what was in there, but I did dump out the majority of the paint. So I'm just going to go back straight with the red oxide, put a few drops in there, and some reducer, if I can find it. There we go. A few drops of reducer. Fat flush everything, let it bubble up in the cup. Tap on, and then I'll just take the brush. Because again, I do want that, rusted look from the red oxide, but I do want it to be a little darker. So I'm just going to take and knock these rivets back a little bit. And remember, I have a white piece here on the board. Remember what I said about not using white to highlight? Well, if we're putting white, we're putting this red oxide over that white. Look at what that gives you. So if we had white in our rivets here as a highlight, again, it's going to look off. Since we made that highlight using our negative space on the other side of the rivet, this red oxide is going to go over there. And it's really not going to look flat. And I did allow that to spider a little bit, because when I dry it, and I fog over just a touch. Will actually give me some more depth and some more texture. Well, thank you, Primo. I can go back over. Remember that spot that I put the violet? When I had all that violet in there? I sprayed it. I said, yeah, that's looking way too violet. Go back over since I have the red oxide back in there. I'm going to go back over that. I'd love to know what my dog is barking at. The wife isn't here right now. I'll be able to tell her to stay quiet. She came down right at the beginning of the class and held up a sign. I'm going to the store. Okay. There we go. Maybe that's looking a little better. What do you guys think? Back up there. Thank you, CBG. And I don't know who else had joined us since the beginning of class. Didn't take a screenshot of who all was in. But if you weren't on the Primo Customs Airbrush Atmosphere last night with Michael Valley, you missed out on a treat. Be sure you guys are there next week, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific. We'll have links up on the forum. We'll have links up in the chat box when that goes live. And it's also available. Will also be available on specific. Will also be available on Primo's website at primocustoms.com. So I want to thank Rick for allowing me to take over his class today. Actually, for asking me to take over his class. I didn't ask him. He asked me. Russian one-man army. Does need a TABF stamp on it, doesn't it? Russian, this is actually a metal panel that's topped to an old computer case, and I just taught everybody how to paint this whole effect on the panel. It's all paint, all done with an airbrush.